welcome back to Tab Space. So, I want to know from y'all's perspective, can regret be a positive thing? I asked my Instagram, and we gonna jump into the responses right quick, and then we gonna jump into this article. All right, so one of my followers responded, yes, repentance. One of my followers, one of my friends, why am I pretending like I don't know these people personally? One of my friends on Instagram responded, yes, repentance and learning are key aspects. The sadness component is the unnecessary. I agree. Um, we gonna jump into that. And my other friend responded, no regrets, just lessons. And I've had her on the pod before, so I'm gonna give y'all her ad. Her ad is the Tink. So, follow her on Instagram. That said, what do y'all think? Y'all think regret can be a positive thing? Because for me, I think that regret is a very positive thing. I live by that no regrets, motto in life where anything that happened to me happened for a reason. Anything that I did happened for a reason. And every situation that you could glean some regret from, you learn a lesson from. So it's like, what's the use in regretting something when I learned something from it? No matter how painful it was, no matter how much I could have done without it, because frankly, we could all do without certain situations. I don't have any regrets. I don't. I take them all as lessons. So, originally, when I asked myself the question, I answered yes in the sense that regret can give you a roadmap to how to avoid further regret in the future in regard to that issue. I found an article in Psychology Today that dives into the thought, and today we're about to explore that idea with it. So the article states, regret leads to mentally replaying scenes, the leftovers, to make sense of what may have gone wrong or reconcile what was left undone. I agree 100%. Regret really does allow you to figure out, how am I going to do this better moving forward? How do I avoid this specific situation happening to me all over again? As painful as these memories can be to replay in our minds, they serve a purpose of teaching valuable lessons that cannot be taught just by word of mouth. When somebody tells you don't do something, I don't know about y'all, I don't just like immediately think like I'm gonna go do that thing, but eventually in life I have to learn from myself in order to actually learn the lesson. You know, I heard somewhere that wisdom is being able to take heed to what people say, and what advice people give you without having to try it for yourself. I personally believe wisdom is that mixed with experiencing these things for yourself and having the knowledge base to say, I went through this, this happened, boom. We are motivated to temporarily alter memories by imagining what might have been had we taken a different path or seized an opportunity. Imagining better ways to go about a situation or a better outcome can be a paramount. I'm sorry. Imagining better ways to go about a situation or a better outcome can be paramount in making better decisions. Regret has been conceptualized as a higher order cognitive emotion because it involves thinking and feeling. So, regret involves two mental processes. Not only are you feeling, but you're thinking at the same time. So, I could see how it's up there with higher order thinking or emotional intelligence. Like, for example, a person that doesn't really take accountability might not be processing their emotions enough to have regret. So some people that are not emotionally intelligent enough might not have any regrets, not for the fact that they learned lessons from them, but rather because they, I don't want to say they're not smart enough. They just don't have the processing function that get to that point and realize like that they did something wrong. So that's something to consider as well. Dominant emotions in regret are guilt, distress, and sadness. When these emotions are repeatedly activated, they can produce a downcast mood. So this is more of the negative side of regret. And I can, attest that I wouldn't say I have regrets, but there are situations where I wish I would have done something differently. I wish I would not have done something, or I wish I would have done something. So I guess if you call that regret, I guess that's exactly what that is. But that said, yeah, I wish I would have done things differently, but I'm not mad or upset that they happened the way that they did necessarily. Like, I still believe that it was probably destined to happen the way it happened anyway, but I believe that there are certain situations like, okay, I could have sat down, talked to this person, I could have done this, I could have done this differently, like, moving forward, I'll do this differently. When you feel that, like, guilt, that can be one of the, like, most depressing things to go through. Trying to process guilt from something that you did, like, you could have done something better, you were wrong in a situation. And I believe that, if you're watching this, you've probably experienced it before where, downright, I was wrong, I made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I know we do. So I'm sure we've all had a moment where we're like, dang. And I don't know how severe it was. You know what I mean? Maybe you lost a friend. Maybe you got into a disagreement with somebody. I don't know what it was, but I've had plenty of those. And I can tell you that it's put me into some major depressions in my lifetime before. I've gotten better about processing it, but at the time, that used to encompass my whole day, is like having guilt towards something I could have done better. That said, there's a flip side to it. You know what I mean? There's all this guilt and all these other things associated with it, but then you get to go and do it better the next time. And I mean, isn't that the whole point of life? Going ahead and doing it better than you did the last time? So there are positive and negative effects of regret. In one hand, you can move better moving forward, but on the other hand, you now have a level of downcast mood resulting from that, and you have to deal with that as well. So it's like a double-edged sword. Regret informs us of a failure to live up to our ideals over and above the mistakes we have made. So, and that was from Devati and Gilovich in 2018. I don't know. Hold on, y'all. I don't know who that is, but that said, that's basically what I was saying. We make mistakes, we learn from them, and then we do better moving forward. So nothing is ever really lost. You feel me? Like, you just gain a new experience. Despite how uncomfortable regrets and unfinished business may feel, they represent internal feedback about our past behavior. So, yeah, as much as we don't want to do things that we regret or don't want to experience times where we wish we would have done something differently, it's crucial to doing better, to flop, to make mistakes, to have those moments where it's like, all right, that sucked. Now I got to get back up, wipe the dust up off of me, and do better. Like, don't let it get the best of you if you do something and you have regret after the fact. Regret may represent an important aspect of our capacity to review our decisions or to assess our behaviors retrospectively. I'm sorry, y'all. We gotta go back. All right. So, we about to get into a cognitive process. This cognitive process is known as counterfactual thinking. It has to do with our assessment of an outcome compared to what would have been gained or lost had we made a different decision. So this is what I was talking about, where you kind of get to you basically take the situation and you get to reimagining it. You know, when you get into an argument with somebody and they was being like a smarty towards you, and you didn't really have like comebacks because it was just like off cuff, you wasn't expecting it, and then you go home and you like, I should have said this and then like you kind of want to like go back and like have the argument all over again because you wish you would have said all these things and now your moment is over. Well, it's the same way when you make a mistake and you get to playing in your head like, I could have done this. I could have came with this energy instead, or I could have said this instead of this, or I could have phrased this like this instead of this, or I could have avoided doing this, that, or the third. Like, you know, you get to thinking, what if this would have happened? What if this would have happened? And you just start replaying scenarios in your head of the like different ways that it could go better than it went. That is known as counterfactual thinking. And it's a very important cognitive process in, I think, our development all around. So that's where we get back to regret may represent an important aspect of our capacity to review our decisions or to assess behaviors retrospectively. Alternately, it may exemplify our inclination to pursue counterfactual information for its own sake. Although looking back may not always influence future behavior, it can be a learning experience. Yes. They basically are saying everything I've been saying, but just in a more well put together manner. Cause you know I don't really talking like that. But yeah. All this stuff, as much as it sucks, it's all a very crucial part to getting to that point where you're the best person you could possibly be. I don't know if that pursuit ever stops genuinely, because like I don't know that I've ever met somebody that got to a point where they're like, yeah, I couldn't be any better. Like, we can always be better, we can always do better, we can always learn something. And that's why life is such a beautiful thing. If you get to the positive side of the negatives that are in life, because there's gonna be negatives. We live in a very weird time right now. But despite all the negatives, if you can find the positive in it and be optimistic, it'll allow you to get very far in life. Genuinely. Reviewing the past and evaluating what we Reviewing the past and evaluating what we experienced can clarify our judgment errors or any misrepresentation in our perception of a situation. So when I get away from a situation, I have so much more clarity. Like, I could be saying something, I could be tripping, I could be, you feel me, I could be all right, they could have been tripping, and I might have digressed when I should have pushed harder, because maybe that person is actually the one that could be doing better in the situation. Because usually both parties could amicably come to a resolution in a better way when you're in a disagreement or a situation that would lead to regret. Emotions make us care in both positive and negative ways. We care when we are interested or excited, and when we are guilty or ashamed. Regret is not indifferent. Thus, our regrets may preserve an emotional attachment to someone or something we have cherished and lost, or to someone that threw me off, or to someone or something that we should have avoided in the first place. So let me go back because that person just ruined that. All right. So emotions make us care in both positive and negative ways. We care when we are interested or excited and when we are guilty or ashamed. Regret is not indifferent. Thus, our regrets may preserve an emotional attachment to someone or something we have cherished and lost, or to someone or something we should have avoided in the first place. Basically, this means if you tend to be a regretful person about how situations went, maybe you have a situation with an ex. Like, this is the immediate thing that comes to my head in this situation. So I'm just going to go with it. You have a situation with an ex and you really believe that you could have done better. Y'all broke up. You think you could have done better. Regret might keep you talking to that person. Regret might keep you in that loop of emotions where you can't move on from them. Regret might keep you in that relationship longer to begin with. Because when you start to break down things you could have done better, you start to kind of go down a rabbit hole of I could have done everything better. And genuinely, yes. If you knew more, if you were, you know what I mean, a different person. Like, if we were in an alternate universe, you could have done better. But we're not there because in that moment, you did the best that you could do. And now you know more. So now you realize that you could have done differently. But in that moment, you couldn't have done better because you didn't know better. So that said, if you're a person that gets stuck in regret and you have a partner and the situation's not going very well and maybe they're not for you, your regret might keep you in that situation way longer than you need to be. So pay attention as well to that. If you're a regretful person and you realize that you keep people around longer than they should be around because they drain your energy or they're there to use you or whatever the case may be, check your regrets as well. Understand that you learned something from your regrets and also figure out, okay, is my regret warranted? Or is it possible that my regret is warranted and the other person maybe is not for me as well? Both are possible. Just for you, explore which one feels better. One of my last notes was, is the guilt associated with someone that once belonged there? Or is it associated with someone that never did belong there? And does the answer, if they belonged or if they did not belong, does the answer make it easier to cope with the regret? So if that person does or does not belong, does it make it any easier? Let's say they weren't for you. Does that make it any easier to deal with the regret of losing them? Let's say they were for you. That's definitely not going to make it easier, right? Like, is it going to hurt the same? Is one worse? Is one better? Regret's regret, right? But are they comparable? Are emotions comparable? Like, it's a whole rabbit hole I could get down with that one. But yeah, food for thought. Y'all let me know what y'all thought in the comments. Thank you for tuning in to Tab Space, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.